The adverbs. 1. Adverbs of manner. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Carefully, carefully, carefully. Carelessly, carelessly, carelessly. Easily, easily, easily. Hard, hard, hard. Well, well, well. Badly, badly, badly. Loudly, loudly, loudly. Quietly, quietly, quietly. Happily, happily, happily. Sadly, sadly, sadly. Clearly, clearly, clearly. Suddenly, suddenly, suddenly. Perfectly, perfectly, perfectly. Together, together, together. Alone, alone, alone. Politely, politely, politely. Rudely, rudely, rudely. Softly, softly, softly. 2. Adverbs of time and frequency. Always, always, always. Usually, usually, usually. Often, often, often. Sometimes, sometimes, sometimes. Never, never, never. Rarely, rarely, rarely. Seldom, seldom, seldom. Frequently, frequently, frequently. Occasionally, occasionally, occasionally. Daily, daily, daily. Weekly, weekly, weekly. Annually, annually, annually. Now, now, now. Then, then, then. Soon, soon, soon. Later, later, later. Yesterday, yesterday, yesterday. Today, today, today. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Already, already, already. 3. Adverbs of place and direction. Here, here, here. There, there, there. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Somewhere, somewhere, somewhere. Nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. Anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. Away, away, away. Out, out, out. In, in, in. Inside, inside, inside. Outside, outside, outside. Upstairs, upstairs, upstairs. Downstairs, downstairs, downstairs. Nearby, nearby, nearby. Far, far, far. Abroad, abroad, abroad. Home, home, home. Up, up, up. Down, down, down. Back, back, back. 4. Adverbs of degree and intensity. Very, very, very. Extremely, extremely, extremely. Quite, quite, quite. Rather, rather, rather. Really, really, really. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Completely, completely, completely. Totally, totally, totally. Entirely, entirely, entirely. Deeply, deeply, deeply. Strongly, strongly, strongly. Highly, highly, highly. Almost, almost, almost. nearly, nearly, nearly. Hardly, hardly, hardly. Barely, barely, barely. Just, just, just. Enough, enough, enough. Two, two, two. So, so, so. 5 Focusing and connecting adverbs. Only, only, only. Especially, especially, especially. Particularly, particularly, particularly. Even, even, even. Also, also, also. Two, two, two. As well, as well, as well. Either, either, either. Neither, neither, neither. However, however, however. Therefore, therefore, therefore. Thus, thus, thus. Consequently, consequently, consequently. Moreover, moreover, moreover. Furthermore, furthermore, furthermore. Otherwise, otherwise, otherwise. Instead, instead, instead. Anyway, anyway, anyway. Besides, besides, besides. Indeed, indeed, indeed. 6 Adverbs of certainty and evaluation. Certainly, certainly, certainly. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Surely, surely, surely. Obviously, obviously, obviously. Clearly, clearly, clearly. Probably, probably, probably. Possibly, possibly, possibly. Perhaps, perhaps, perhaps. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Luckily, luckily, luckily. Fortunately, fortunately, fortunately. Unfortunately, unfortunately, unfortunately. Honestly, honestly, honestly. Frankly, frankly, frankly. Basically, basically, basically. Generally, generally, generally. Naturally, naturally, naturally. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. Apparently, apparently, apparently. Ultimately, ultimately, ultimately. 7 Interrogative and relative adverbs. When, when, when. Where, where, where. Why, why, why. How, how, how. Whenever, whenever, whenever. Wherever, wherever, wherever. Why ever, why ever, why ever. However, however, however. 8 Other essential adverbs. Again, again, again. Almost, almost, almost. Already, already, already. Especially, especially, especially. Eventually, eventually, eventually. Finally, finally, finally. Immediately, immediately, immediately. Lastly, lastly, lastly. Mostly, mostly, mostly. Normally, normally, normally. Presently, presently, presently. Recently, recently, recently. Simply, simply, simply. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Successfully, successfully, successfully. usually, usually, usually. Virtually, virtually, virtually. Widely, widely, widely. Wrongly, wrongly, wrongly. Yesterday, yesterday, yesterday.